Hello, Derpy here. I figured after watching one of my buddy's videos and giving him some tips, I'd do a little tutorial on this thing you can see on your screen here, and here, and here, and here. It's all very small. It looks pretty cool, actually. Let's wiggle that around. That's really cool. Sorry, I'll stop mucking around now. Yeah. Open Broadcaster software. It's a free download on Tinternet, so if you get your Google out and type in OBS free or Open Broadcaster software, it comes up. It's free. It's on all sorts of applications. I'm pretty sure you can use it on your phones now as well, 64-bit and 32-bit, and there's a Linux download as well, I believe. It's really good. Lets you download stuff and film things for YouTube, for which is what you is watching with your eyes now on the screen. What I did when I first got it, I did what my buddy Isaac's done and kind of pretty much just used it straight off the bat as it was, worked out sort of the basics of how to make it film stuff, like the screen you can see here and a few other bits and bobs. Wasn't too sure on settings and details, but I made it work, and it seemed to work okay. Then I spoke to my buddy Dave, who is... what is it Dave does? Dave does amazing things, is what Dave does. He does stuff with synthesizers and video productions. If you've ever been to a club or you've seen those really sort of psychedelic things move into music, that's what Dave does. He knows recording. He's a really smart chap. So credit to Dave here. I'm just passing on knowledge. But yeah, I'd work with him and he explained a few bits and pieces about this. So if we go into settings here, this brings up sort of the general settings for OBS. We go encoding. What you've got up here, you've got a couple of different encoders. A lot of people say X264 is the one you want to use. It's set at that at default. I've found, I don't know if this is just my graphics card because I've got an NVIDIA graphics card, but the NVIDIA one over to the right seems to lag games a lot. No, hang on. Lags games less. A lot less. That's what I was trying to get out of my face. Yeah, it seems to lag games a lot less, which really helps. It was the difference between sort of 15, 25 frames per second, and it made a hell of a lot of difference to my gameplay, because when I first started using this I had to turn lots of settings down and things didn't look quite as nice as they used to. I mean, my graphics card's a few years old, but it's not that old. It's GTX 750. It should cope with stuff. So yeah, I've kept that on. I've also used CBR padding. CBR is constant bit rate. It keeps, once you start recording, it keeps the bit rate solid, so it shouldn't get any lag spikes or anything. Doesn't matter what's going on the screen, it's going to keep it the same. Custom buffer size, set that to 0. The reason you set that to 0 is because it doesn't use any memory then, it just records it, saves it, doesn't give you lag. And max bitrate, I've got mine set to that. I believe Dave told me anything over 5,000 is a decent bitrate to use, so I've got mine set to that. Audio encoding, what I've done, I've tried to set it up about midway. I probably should change the codec on that, make my life a bit easier, but I'll come back to that at some point once I've spoken to Dave. But we carry on. What else we got on here? We want video. Obviously you set up your graphics card. If you've got more than one, you use the one for the screen you're working off. Base resolution, I set my base resolution to exactly the same as what my monitor is. Just makes my life easier because I don't have to faff around with it every time I open up a different game. Then you downscale, you want to downscale about 1.5, or what you're going to be rendering in your final product. When you're putting it online, what resolution do you want it in? So in my case, 720, 1280 by 720. That's high definition resolution. I'm not going to go any more than that because it takes up a lot of hard drive space, and I'll be honest, I've got a little hard drive. I need all the room I can get. I've also got disable aero ticked. Again, that helps with frames per second in games, and especially when you're recording. And this bit, frames per second here, this bit here I've highlighted, I was under the impression when I first started recording you needed something like 60 frames per second. You don't. You only need about 25 when you're recording, because once it's recorded and rendered, it's a constant thing. So you're not going to see any black spots, it's not going to lag, it's not going to jump, it's just saved. That makes a hell of a difference because it's going to half your file size. Say you're thinking, oh, I want 60, 70, or if your monitor's one of these really good monitors and you're doing like 90 frames per second, or even if you've got a cracking graphics card and it's doing like 120 frames per second in your game, and you think, oh yeah, that's what I need to capture. You don't. You need 25. 25 is a good rate. I think that's pretty much all the details out of that bit you need. You can see my sound with my voice bobbling up and down. Don't worry about that. Quick sync. I've not even bothered with quick sync. I don't want to know about quick sync. Microphone. You'll work that one out. I boost my microphone ever so slightly from what it actually comes through on the PC because I find it to be a bit quiet, but I think that's going to be down to personal preference. What other settings have we got? I think that's probably about it. Any other questions? Feel free to leave me a comment. There's all sorts of other bits and pieces on here. The sources, this is one you're going to have to learn yourself, but I've just set this one up here. It says tute, or tute. The tutorial. It's just picking up which monitor on it to record off, whether it catches my mouse or not. Obviously I'd have to click OK and it's all going to start again and close my recording, but I don't want to do that. But what you can also do is, if you right click and go add, you can capture windows, so certain window frame you want to capture monitor. I've got 2 monitors, so I'm capturing the one with my recording gear on it. An image, not quite sure on that one. I've got to get back to the image in slideshow. That's like PDF type stuff. Global source, again, that's monitors. Text, if you type in, just capturing bits of text. Video capture device, if you're doing stuff like off your Xbox or your PlayStation or anything through your TV really, if you've got a video card, that's what that one is. Game capture, which is what I use for most things if I can. I have found that not everything likes to record through this with game capture. Sometimes you just get a black screen, so then if that happens I use window capture and then I'll set the game to run in the window, and 9 times out of 10 that just works. Every now and again I found an old game or something that doesn't like it, whether it's running on a different version of DirectX or OpenGL, something like that won't run properly, and monitor capture tends to sort that out. And I think that's probably about it. So I hope that's been helpful to anybody watching this or is a bit curious. As I said, leave a comment if you've got any questions, and I'll see you later. Bye!